Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Girls Only Sports, the Playbook. We are on episode 5. I am Candace Allen with Kay Williams. This time I took care of the
Thank
names.
you.
There we
Thank you. I was
go.
getting nervous. I was preparing.
We appreciate everybody watching, commenting, liking, subscribing. Keep doing so. Please follow us on all social medias, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, especially our YouTube page. Engage with us, comment. We can handle it.
Yeah, right.
Just engage with what we're doing. Women's sports seems to be, as we always say when we start out, it's on the rise. There's so much stuff to talk about. So just keep rocking with us. Hopefully we got a good show for you today about some things that's happened over the past couple of weeks. So we're going to get right into it. Our segment that we start off with, Full Court Press, where we just run down some of the news and some of the sporting leagues that are in season and some highlights. We want to start off with the French Open that just happened.
Yes.
I will admit, since, the Williams have been out of the game for a minute, I haven't been plugged in as much as I wanted to. But, Coco and Naomi, they bring...
Yeah, I was going to say, I won't lie. I think Coco's pulling me back in because she's so exciting to watch.
She sure is. And her U.S. Open win a couple years ago, she's just knocking on the door.
Yeah.
And she made it to the semifinals in singles this French Open, which was a success. But she ran into the eventual French Open champion, who is Iga Swiatek. And she is 23 years old, already on her 5th Grand Slam title. And I think she's taking it a little personal that, Coco beat her in that U.S. Open. And she's like, listen.
That was her revenge tour.
Yeah, she is currently on a revenge tour every time she plays Coco after that. But congratulations to her. I mean, 23, 5 Grand Slams. It's just, this part is unfortunate that the attention has kind of shifted away from women's tennis in like a mainstream way, that having 5 Grand Slams at 23 is a really big deal. And
like we keep saying it, like, even for her, the young ones is different these days.
They're different these days. They're different these days, and she's number 1 player in the world. Coco did not leave the French Open empty-handed. She won the doubles title. She rose to 2 in the world as a singles player, and then to be able to pick off a doubles title at the French Open with her partner is just incredible. So, the American doing her job, leaving home with a trophy. Yeah. That was a big tournament in tennis. And then, in some other news, it looks like women's sports leagues and expansion is like the rave. We got a new
it definitely is.
Women's soccer league coming to Canada.
About time. It's the first ever. They've never had a professional league in Canada. And when you think about all the talent that Canada has, it's kind of jarring that they've never had a professional league. And it's huge. We love it. And I like to see the investment and the growth into the women's game. And I'm excited to see which players. There's a lot of internationals over there. We got Adriana Leon, Jordan Heidemann plays in the NWSL, Jessie Fleming plays in the NWSL. But then you think about all the European, like, people that are playing over in England and stuff like that. Chloe Lacasse, Adriana Leon, Ashley Lawrence, big names. So I'm excited to see if they make any moves to get some big players over in that league. And then also, I will say, one more season for Kristen Sinclair.
She has to just start the season off there. So this league will have 6 teams at Ottawa, Montreal, Halifax, Toronto, and Calgary, and Vancouver. It's a 25-game season, and they're looking to start next year in April in 2025. So if you're a soccer fan, not only do you get to watch international, NWSL, now you get to watch Canadian soccer. So hopefully, some of these leagues can combine so it can be like one big super league.
Yeah.
And you just get the best talent from all around the world. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be very fun to watch. Yeah.
And basketball obviously can't be left out.
Ever.
Breanna Stewart, the New York Liberty forward, current MVP, and Afrisa Collier of the Minnesota Lynx, they have started a 3-on-3 basketball league that will take place during the WNBA's offseason. It's called Unrivaled. It starts in January. It's 6 teams. It's 30 players. They play in Miami. Some of the investors is Alex Morgan, Megan Rapinoe, Steve Nash, Carmelo Anthony, and Gino Auriemma. You know he has to give his two players. Right. Both of them played at UConn. He has to throw some of his money to them. But it's going to be a league that is an alternative for players to go overseas. Obviously, we know the story, or if you don't, WNBA players do head overseas because they, there's millions of dollars available to a lot of the top players to go. But this is just another opportunity for them to stay home, along with Athletes United, which started in 2022. Athletes United also has a softball league that starts in July. So if you like softball, they do have professional women's softball here in the States that you can tune into. But shout out to Stewie and Nafrisa. They're just looking out and finding ways, people who have been involved in the game, finding ways to obviously grow it and provide opportunity. And I should mention that the WNBA has a prioritization rule, which is going to restrict some players to make a decision whether they go overseas or play in the WNBA. And so this will help them make the decision that, hey, you can make some money playing here in the States.
Yeah. It's good to see. It's good to see that everybody's investing back in the league and helping, just build up the whole community, the women's basketball community in general.
For sure. And then lastly, the WNBA, they approved Toronto 2026. We kind of knew that was going to happen.
We called that one. Yeah, we called that one.
We knew it was going to take place. They sold out their 2 Toronto games one last season, one this season, almost 17,000 fans. We knew it was coming. So next season, we'll see the Golden State Valkyries. Shout out to the Golden State Tessa Thompsons. And then the season after that, we'll see Toronto and their expansion team, which is happening right on time because 144 players ain't gonna cut it. We need more spots.
Right, at all. Definitely need some more spots. Again, just the growth. The growth is happening. It's definitely being seen. So that's a big move.
Yeah.
I'm excited to go to a Toronto game. That
will seem fun. That will seem fun. It looked like they have a good time. But let's get to the sport of it all. We're going to start off with the WNBA and the Week 4 recap. We haven't had a recap on the W in a minute. Just to talk about the actual basketball that's happening on the court. So we're going to highlight some things that's happening around the league. First off, you know what? Connecticut started off 9-0. Yeah. And everybody's like, this is the season. And it could very well be their season.
Yeah.
But when it's time to show up for the big one,
we know how it goes. So the New York Liberty handed Connecticut their first loss, and the Liberty clinches their second trip to the Commissioner's Cup, which would have been a perfect opportunity for the Connecticut Sun if they had beat the Liberty, go 10-0, to make an appearance in the Commissioner's Cup, and they just couldn't get it done. I don't want to sound down on Connecticut because they're playing extraordinarily well. They definitely are. They're playing great basketball, but I don't know what it is with them whenever it comes to winning and when it matters. The big one?
Yeah.
It's like they struggle. Maybe they got a little stage fright.
Maybe a little bit. They're going to have to work on that. But I was a little disappointed on Saturday watching that game because I'm like, Connecticut, you got to win these matchups. This is what prepares you during the playoffs. But they're still the best team in the league. Alyssa Thomas is playing incredible. 2 torn labrums still. We got to mention that. Still balling out almost a triple-double. But shout out to Dejanay Carrington. She's just making a name for herself.
She is, and I will say is it an early most improved?
Oh no. Never. She's right there. It ain't too early.
There?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's there.
She's in that conversation. Because when I say she's having a fantastic season, I think she's really just one of those people that you've just seen the growth over the years of her career. She just really expanded her game and she's locked in. She's focused. She's definitely focused.
And you're absolutely right. And for Connecticut, Dewana Bonner is playing well. Ty Harris is another one where she's just incredible. But to move along, shout out to the New York Liberty. They are, they doing what they do. They're playing really well. But their metric is the championship and in the playoffs. And we'll see how that goes. But next up, the Seattle Storm. they started off a little rough. It was looking a little rocky for them. Obviously, they were bringing in 3 new players: Skylar Diggins, NECA, playing with Jewel Lloyd, Ezzy Maglagore. But they look super team.
They caught that stride real quick.
They sure did. They said
they was like, "Oh, y'all counting us out? Just wait. Right. Just give us a minute. We just trying to get it together." Yeah, definitely so.
They did take a loss to Minnesota. We'll talk about them in a minute. But what can you say about, just how NECA is playing? NECA is averaging 18 points, 7 rebounds on 60% shooting.
Yeah. It's one of those moments where it's just like, I love this for her. Like, she's just having one of those seasons where you're just happy to see her back to playing at the level she can't play at.
For sure. And I think that's important moving forward when you have somebody as consistent as NECA and Skylar's locked in, Jewel's locked in. One of the things I criticized them about starting out was just they weren't making shots. Right. But now that they're falling and their defense is locked in, Seattle's going to be dangerous moving forward. Camila Cardoso. Now, like, somebody got to get good, sis, because she was on live the other day giving herself tattoos.
Was she? Just absolutely unhinged.
Just some these Gen Zs, I don't know what's going on with them, but she coming back from a shoulder injury. She made her debut against Indiana a couple of weeks ago, and she looked really good. She's had a couple of games under her belt. She's been under minutes restriction, but I will say the connection that she's having with Angel Reese, that's going to be scary.
It is. It is. And you have to think you're just now seeing it. They're just now really being able to play together. And it's going to continue to build. And like you said, that's going to be scary. Once they get it down, it's going to be very scary for everybody.
And Kennedy Carter, she is another one. 6th Woman of the Year. I think she's averaging around 16, 17 points. Just off the bench, giving energy, playing tough. She hasn't been in the league for a minute, but right place, right time, never giving up. That team hasn't gotten the wins that it wanted, but they've been competing in nearly every game just because the league is so deep. But shout out to Camila coming in, getting her win underneath her. And like we're saying, her and Angel, they put it together. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
We saw another return. Brittany Griner. We talked about her broke toe a little bit.
You did.
She returns to the Phoenix Mercury. Had 13 points, I believe, the first game, but had 24 the second. BG is BG. You can't teach 6'9". You can't teach the mid-range. You can't teach what she can do. And once she gets her win, Phoenix is definitely going to have a better record. They're 6-6 right now, but they look really good. And welcome BG back, but they look good because of Kalia Copper.
They look good because of Kalia Copper, and especially coming off the season they had last year. There was nowhere to go but up. So it's good, like, seeing like those people that you brought in, like they brought in Kalia Copper this past offseason. She is showing out. She's having an absolute season, and that last game went into double overtime. Is that the one?
It sure was. That Dallas game went into double overtime, and Kalia they were able to make it happen.
They were. They pulled away in that second overtime. They're not losing this one.
Oh, they're not losing this one. No. They're locked in. Yeah, no. Like I said, they're 6-6 right. They're 6-6 right now. They have a 500 record, but once they get their team together, they're going to be rolling. And shout out to Kalia Copper. She's just 24 points a game. She's had a couple of 38, 34 games. She hit a game winner the other day. But you talk about a player who every year consistently has gotten better, and on that team has turned into a go-to player. She's just a name people should watch. We're going to keep up with her during the playbook for the rest of the season because I'm putting her on my MVP list. Most definitely.
You have to. We're how many games in? And she's showing out like this, it's only going to continue to grow. So you got to keep an eye on. That's an early one. You got to keep an early eye on that one.
For sure. And next up is Minnesota. I did want to mention them. They rolling. Minnesota looks dangerous because Nafrisa is playing like an MVP, another one on my list. 21 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists a game. Kayla McBride is shooting 50% from the three-point line. And then I think their entire team is shooting something crazy like 35% from three. And if anybody caught the game last night, I know we're moving into week 5, they couldn't miss.
No. Automatic at that point.
Automatic. Like, Cheryl Reeve has been waiting. Like, she's used to championships.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Waiting. Even Courtney Williams at midi looks nasty.
Yeah.
Minnesota looks dangerous.
They do, but that's another team I worry about when it comes playoff time, though.
For sure. It's like that extra... Some of the teams got the grit.
Push.
Yeah.
Grind it out towards the end of the season. I'm looking forward to see if they can grind it out this year towards the end of the season.
For sure. It was good, though, to see Nafrisa and Nneka get into it. I'm like, two of the least controversial, quiet. I don't want to call them quiet because they're competitors, but they was getting into it. Like, this WNBA season is wild. You got players, John, who... don't ever get into stuff like that.
I love when you see the players that you don't really see jawing at each other too much or just in general. And I'm like, oh, it's one of these seasons. Yeah. I'm locked in. Like, you locked into this season.
Absolutely. And lastly, we talk about teams being locked in. Every team is locked in except the most unserious team in the WNBA. It's fitting that the most unserious team, who is the back-to-back champions, are currently 5-5 for some reason. But one, parity. Teams have gotten better, and teams have specifically built themselves to beat the Aces, and I think that needs to be acknowledged. You miss Chelsea Gray. That's no way, shape, or form. You can't get around it. She's the best point guard in the world. She makes people's lives easier, and it's becoming abundantly clear that offensively she makes the Vegas offense run and getting other players involved. Jackie Young has been sick, which has caused some issues for the team. KP, bless her heart, is going through a lot off the court.
Yeah.
They under investigation again. Again. And they're 5-5, and they don't look good. Like,
no.
The defense is horrible.
Yeah.
Even their offense is horrible. All the while, Asia Wilson is putting together probably one of, if not one of the greatest seasons we've seen in the WNBA. Asia's averaging 28 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 50% from the field, and I think like 40% from 3. Like,
she got to.
How is this happening?
She has to. That's how it's happening. Like, with the way they're playing, she has to.
They still not winning. Like, I'm gonna need these other players to step up because y'all gonna make Asia miss another MVP.
Right. Yeah. Do you think that hurts her if they're not in the conversation of, you know, because we called it early. We say, oh, they're running it back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
We said it was Vegas's to lose, basically.
Yeah.
Do you think that hurts her in the MVP boat later in the season if they're still struggling?
I'm 50-50 on that. Because for me, as long as the Aces make the playoffs, I don't care if they're 18-18 or I think they play 40 games. If they're 20-20 and they're the 8th seed, I'm not betting against Las Vegas going 3-peat.
No.
Because a team will have to beat them 2 times in a row or 3 times in a row in the playoffs to knock them out. And I'm not counting them out then. They've proven themselves too much. But in terms of Asia and her MVP chances, on one hand, I do think she's proven to a lot of people that, you know, I think there was this belief that Chelsea, which she does, she makes everybody's life easier. But I think there was a belief that Chelsea made Asia's life a lot easier where she wouldn't be able to, not she wouldn't, but you wouldn't see the kind of production that she's having without Chelsea Gray on the floor. I think Asia's proven that, yes, look, I'm one of them ones and I can get buckets without the world's best point guard because this is what I do. And you can't knock the fact that she's having an incredible season.
Right.
On the other hand, her in the MVP voting is rated on a different scale. If her team is not top 3, she is not winning MVP. Even though she could average this for the whole season, her team ain't top 3. Nah, they ain't giving it to her.
I think it's a little early to count Vegas out to even say that they won't be top 3, because you have to take into consideration we're about to go into an Olympic break, and then also you're going to see Chelsea at some point this season.
Oh, absolutely. And she was warming up the game yesterday.
Yeah, so I think it's brewing, is coming. Just let them settle in. They almost went unbeaten for 2 years. Like,
yeah, that is true. Like, y'all lost 10 times in 2 years, and I think the article came out today. This is their first time losing 3 games back to back to back since 2019. Like, y'all were due for some on court adversity.
Humbling. Yeah, you was due for some humbling. It was okay.
Y'all always get humble off the court.
Yeah. We're going to make sure y'all stay humble off the court, but now it's time for on the court.
Now it's time for on the court, and I think other teams are smelling blood in the water, but they're not, too many of them aren't going to carry too much of that energy outside of the back, because they know what the Las Vegas Aces are. So I'm not hitting the panic button just as of yet, but I will say, if their defense isn't better and their bench has to be better, they could be in some trouble, because I think that's a lot of pressure to put on that core 4 who are only going to the Olympics, only to have to come back and fight for a playoff spot and try to run a three-peat. So no alarm set, but yes, the reigning back-to-back champs are 5-5. So that was our WNBA recap. Let's head into, or week 5 recap. Let's head into what's going on in the NWSL.
Oof, I don't know. It's like we coming off an international break, so we're just kind of easing right back into it. We didn't really miss too much with our break. One big thing happening: Kristen Press is back training with the team. I think she did little sprints with them or something the other day. Which 2 years after post ACL injury, a person that you think you're going to come in and build this whole franchise around. So it's so good to see her back. Kristen Press will forever be my favorite U.S. Women's National Team player. Just love her to death. So very happy to be able to see her back out there. And
even the pictures kind of broke the internet.
Right. And I don't know, like, she's been very vocal about her journey. So I think that you just have to appreciate it too. When you see somebody coming back from an ACL, we talk about it all the time. It's so prevalent in the women's game. So to see her 2 years out.
Yeah.
And be able to see somebody of that caliber too, and the notoriety of her name behind it. So very happy to see her back.
For sure.
All I'm saying is I'm gonna be full back on my Angel City bandwagon when she comes back, just for a couple games. So that's a huge thing. Another huge moment for Chicago Red Stars had played their game at Wrigley Field. 35,000 people. Broken NWS over 35,000. Set a new NWSL attendance record playing Bay FC. Did end up losing, which I feel like that always sours the moment when you do things like that. And they lost to Bay FC. Like, come on, y'all.
If you're gonna go all out, if you're gonna go to a historic stadium, if you're gonna go to Wrigley Field or do something crazy at like Ohio Stadium or something, please don't lose.
Like, please don't let us lose. Like, what are we doing, y'all? Yeah, but still a huge moment. It was
35,000 people for a regular season NWSL game.
Yeah, I just appreciate everybody that's showing up for these moments. Like, even if you're like a casual fan, if you see something like that's going on, showing up and being there to support and just, letting everybody see the growth in the numbers. You know what I mean? So
right.
That's just a huge moment. On to the soccer side, we're 1 week back from international break. So Kansas City is back on top. They had me a little nervous. I thought they were going to get handed their first loss to the Seattle Reign, who is a dominant force in the league. But they're struggling. They're struggling bad this season. But I thought Seattle, I think, I don't know. They just struggled towards the end of the game to keep up the momentum that they gained.
For sure.
So I did think Kansas City had some trouble with Seattle in the first half there. Ended up winning 5-2. So we're back on top, and our goal differential is better now again. So don't worry about it too much. So that's good. Good to see for them. And Kansas City, I won't be surprised if by the end of the season everybody on the team scored. It's ridiculous the number of people that have put goals in for them this season. You're just like, another one,
right?
They have at least 18 on the season. 18 different goal scorers on the season.
That's crazy.
crazy numbers. Another team to mention is reigning champions Gotham. Haven't lost in the last 6 games. I say this with an asterisk because we love an asterisk on the show.
We sure do.
Love an asterisk. They have not lost in the last 6 games, but they're still middle of the table. And I still think while they are catching a stride in as far as winning and everything, I don't think they're completing their chances. And I think that's where they're struggling in as far as creating opportunities to put it back in the back of the net. I don't know. It's just one of those things where you're just like, what do we need?
Right.
Like, what do we need to, let's sit down and think why these aren't going into the back of the net.
Right. They need a players only meeting of how to score.
Yeah, pretty much. They barely got by from Angel City, 2-1 over the weekend. Angel City continues to struggle. They got the equalizing goal, and then Gotham came back and got another goal on them. Ended up winning 2-1 in that one. And then last year's Shield winner, San Diego Wave, continued to struggle. They were able to pull out a tie against Orlando over the weekend, but another team that's riddled with a bunch of injuries, and I think it's one of those things where you're just trying to find a balance, because you'll get somebody back, then you lose somebody else, and then it's just one of those things. Like you see a lot of teams struggling with that as far as just being able to get informed. Be consistent, and everybody getting informed. But we will see. San Diego,
if they put it together.
Yeah, if they put it together, and they're out of the playoff race right now. They're sitting in the 9th seed, but they're like a Vegas for me. I'm not really going to count them out too much.
Right.
So the asterisk is there. It's,
right. You got to beat them, but it's not looking pretty right now.
Yeah, it's not looking pretty right now, but asterisk.
Yes. That was NWSL. We're going to move into our She Did That segment where we highlight somebody who is just showing out in the week. Olympics are coming up. We going to cover the Olympics. And I kind of made like a unsolicited executive decision real quick. Just because I like it. You do. Yeah. I be up watching walking and like rhythmic gymnastics. And like, I be like, oh, he got archery. They got it in the...
I'm like, it's 3 a.m. Why are you texting me?
Badminton, but it's the biggest sporting event in the world. I mean, it's been around for everybody knows the Olympics. I don't need to explain that, but track and field is just one of those sports that I've always been a fan of. And we have a U.S. track runner that is probably the most talented runner that we have seen in a minute. You talk prodigy, you talk potential all-timer. I'm talking about Sydney McLaughlin-Leverone. She is in incredible shape, and the reason we're shouting her out in this She Did That segment is because she is the world leader in the 400-meter hurdles, in which she owns the world record. She is the world leader in the 400 meters, which she is like a 500th of a second outside of the American record. And she has the fastest 200-meter time in the world. Now, listen. If you could run track in like 5-6 events, I would literally say Sydney McLaughlin-Leverone could win 3 or 4 gold medals. It's just not physically possible, without people asking a lot of questions.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we know the sport dealt with that. But she is singularly that talented. To be having the world lead in 2 separate events and the second fastest in another event. She's just in incredible shape. I did look it up before we hopped on. She will be defending her 400 meter hurdle record during the Olympics. She won't run the flat 4. Many people want her to. I want her to because that 400 meter world record I thought could never be touched. But I think if Sydney McLaughlin focuses on it, she can get to it, but it has to be her singular event. But she has somebody's knocking on the door in the 400 meter hurdles. Femke Bol from the Netherlands. So she's going to be running that during the Olympics. But I wanted to shout her out because she did that this weekend.
Right. She is doing that this week.
Yes. And she is about to the Olympic trials are coming up really, really soon. The track and field Olympic trials. So you'll see her, Sha'Carri, Noah Lyles, all these good people. I know this is girls only sports, but we're gonna give the man a shout out
we,
too.
We're gonna get shout out all the Americans during the Olympics.
Yeah, shout out, go America.
Okay. Yeah,
but please keep your eye on Sydney and what she could possibly do during this Olympic Games. And we also wanted to do what she did that to shout out a couple of things. You know, Barbie is all the rage. They had the movie. The song, everything. But Barbie decided to make a collection of Barbies for athletes, which is really, really cool. Normally they do like singers and world like history makers and things like that. But the aforementioned Canada legend, Christine Sinclair, would get a Barbie. A 21-year-old Australian and Man City player, Mary Fowler, would get a Barbie. And tennis legend icon, you know, ruler of all things, Venus Williams, will get a Barbie as well. But congratulations to them. I mean, you have like 3 different generations of women athletes who little girls can go to the store and see and pick them up, pick a Barbie that represents them. It's just a wonderful thing. So shout out to Barbie. Y'all are doing that. I don't know who the CEO is, so I don't know who's.
But she did that.
But she did that. Right. She did that. And lastly, before we get out of here on the playbook, we're gonna head into our X and O section, and this is just where we go deep on a topic in the world of sport. And the reason we're exhaling is because
just take a minute.
The hip check heard around the world in the WNBA when Kennedy Carter of the Chicago Sky hip checked Caitlin Clark. It was a primetime, not a primetime game, but it was a game on ABC in the middle of the day, a televised, nationally televised game, and it was a hip check. I don't believe a foul was called during the game, but it was upgraded to a flagrant 1 after it. But it has spurred a week of nonstop conversation.
Shambles.
And then outside of that, the Olympic team roster got announced, which is spurring another week of conversation.
Yes.
And we were talking, and the only thing we could come up with is like, what do y'all want?
What do you want?
I'm a little bit confused about the current interest and conversation around women's basketball. I know what we want, and maybe we can talk about that a little bit. Like, I want the basketball, the players on the court, what they do, the teams, the personalities, all of that. I want them to be respected. I want them to be, I don't want to make it a cause, but I do want them to be treated as professional athletes who are the best at their sport, where we can debate what's going on with the aces, where we can get into why they keep getting investigated, where there's other conversations, Skylar Diggins and her coming back, and her experience and journey within the WNBA, which is incredibly interesting. The play of Maddie Siegrist, who looked like she didn't belong in the league last year, but she put in so much work. There's no highlight for her. She plays for the Dallas Wings, but everything has kind of just swirled around Caitlin Clark. What was done by Kennedy Carter to Caitlin Clark, seemingly what the league is doing to her, and then what fans expect of her. I don't know if I'm connecting all of these things together, but it's essentially, I think we have to come to some kind of, not even agreement, but a consistent consensus on what exactly do fans want with the WNBA. Yeah. We want ball.
Right.
We want competition.
Right.
I don't want the conversation every week to be, she got hip checked. It was a foul. They're going after her. These players are jealous. She got snubbed. We're missing marketing opportunities, as if, like I said before, we're prioritizing competition. We're prioritizing growth over competition, and that is the antithesis of sport. And I feel like we're going down a really dangerous slope in women's basketball, because it is not this beautiful, grandiose thing of all these new fans, interests, talk, wanting to see this league succeed. I'll be honest, it feels like it's turning to, we want and need Caitlin Clark to succeed.
Yeah.
And now we're debating on how to do it.
Yeah, even at the detriment of the league, we need her to succeed.
Even at the detriment of the league.
Yeah. And I'll say this just to bring it to the original story, then take it there. I don't think the hip check was unnecessary.
It was unnecessary.
But it was unnecessary. It wasn't a basketball play. Do I think it was a flagrant one? I don't. Mm-hmm. I think it's a heat of the moment thing. You check them and be like, okay, calm down. Right. You know? And that's something your coach deals with. I'm sure she did not get away with that.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no way. There's no way Teaspoon letting that one fly. Because I think it's more than anything, I think it's a teaching moment. Control your emotions.
Right. And that is the thing with Kennedy that has been a part of it. She can get too wired.
Exactly. You're right. And I think that's where it comes. That's where you see the lack of previous knowledge. Right. You guys are Caitlin Clark fans. Let me not say that. People are Caitlin Clark fans and they don't know the history that's come. I think if that whole sequence, so you see the whole sequence leading up to the hip check. I don't think it, regardless if it was Caitlin Clark, I think she would have had the same reaction.
Oh, absolutely.
You get what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think that's just the type of player she is. I don't think it was a targeted thing. I think it was simply, she needs to be able to better control her emotions. I think that's what it comes down to. That is one of those things where you have to grow and you have to learn from.
Right. And this happened the same week or a week or a week, 7, 8, 9 days before Angel Reese gets slammed down by her neck by Alyssa Thomas, gets a flagrant 2, Alyssa Thomas out the game. But that didn't get no conversation. It got a little, but nobody was writing editorials talking about assault.
Yeah. Let's be serious. Like, what? Let's be serious.
What are we doing, guys?
What are we doing? When we say what do you want, that's literally my question. What do you want? Are you here just to see Caitlin Clark? If you are, sit back, enjoy the ride as you watch her career. Absolutely. Don't make everything I think in the end, Caitlin Clark, people that are watching solely for Caitlin Clark, you will hurt her career more than anybody in the league will. Mm-hmm. For the simple fact of the narrative that you are creating. You guys are victimizing her in a way that I feel like will put more of a target on her back than just letting her be, letting her grow in the league, letting her, she's bringing so much attention instead of just letting it be what it is and watching everything grow naturally, organically. You want to force an agenda that
you want to force her being successful. Yes. It's like,
who's it going to benefit? Because in the end, once she gets to that peak of success, are you going to get bored and we're back at square one and we're sitting here with a player that didn't deserve to get all of this because you didn't give her time to develop into that superstar?
Right. Like you have the built-in Rocky story.
Exactly.
This is
let it build. Like it could be so beautiful.
It could be so beautiful. The top shooter coming out of college goes to the W. Has a good season. She's averaging 17 points. Is her team and doing that well? Not necessarily, because they're not running the schemes that benefit any of the players on the team. No. They don't have any offensive direction, in my opinion. And then they have defensive liabilities, and that's just one of the things Caitlin herself will have to work on in the offseason. But she has a built-in story. Here's her rookie season, average 17 points, dealing with all the contact, taking the pressure of having so much expectation, has a good season, maybe wins Rookie of the Year, definitely still in the running. Next year, gets better. Her team builds some camaraderie. They start operating on a different level. Now she'll probably be an all-star this year. What if she makes second team, first team next year? Like, you guys are not, you're trying to write the full novel of a sports story in 1 year.
In the first 5 weeks of
in
a
the
season.
first 5 weeks of the season. And you're doing it like, let.
Yeah.
Like, when does that happen in sports?
Ever. Let them win. Give her an easy schedule. What are we talking about?
No, like, she has to slay the Giants.
It's the focusing on the one story for me, and just making this league one player.
Yeah,
I think that's what's going to hurt everything, because when she gets the glory, and when she does finally get that, you see that moment with Caitlin Clark's career, and she raises the trophy, they get the banner, they get all this. Then what?
Right.
If you're here solely to see her career, see her get this success, are you done after that? Because what good did that do the league?
Or are you willing to stay? That she has to go through some obstacles to get there.
It is.
Like, every great has to do it. Asia Wilson, who's the best player in the league right now, she had to slay giants to get to this point. She had to beat BG, Diana Taurasi, Skylar Diggins, and that Phoenix team. Homegirl was crying on her home court in tears, losing in 2021. Did the same thing when she got swept by Stewie. And that rivalry goes back to college, probably even goes back to high school. Like, you got to slay dragons to be a 2-time MVP, a 2-time champ, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, and now the best player in the world. But you get that commercial, because, you know, marketing is all the rage. You get that when you go through it. Don't take that story. Don't take it away from us.
Yeah, let's slow it down.
Let her go through the story.
Let her go through the story. And then also, I think removing that anybody saying anything critical of her is hating, or somebody speaking negative on her, instead of just talking about the places that she needs to develop. This is a new league. This is new to her. The physicality is different. That hip check is not something new to the game. It's just not. It's part of. It's welcome to the league, rookie. I'm sorry. And every sport, every athlete goes through it. Welcome to the league.
Right. And MVPs get it too. Asia got knocked in the head 3 times. No fouls was called. You know what I mean?
But there's no stories written about it, and I think that's. I don't think it's productive for the league for us to just keep focusing on this one thing. And I get it. I really do. If that's your career, and like, you know, you're going to get the views, you're going to get the numbers off mentioning Caitlin Clark, but
we can't we can't let go of the basketball. Yeah. Like, at a certain point, and that's my fear, is that maybe naively I thought that, yes, she'll come in the league, fans will come. I didn't expect it to be a grandiose thing, but I thought fans would come to the league, follow her along. If that's your favorite player and you want to see her succeed, there is nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But it's like, oh, I'll watch a couple of these other games too. Or I'll watch a couple of these other players too. But it's like, there's a certain disrespect in, like, I'm only watching this. I'm only focusing on this. And nothing around it even matters. And now the conversation has turned completely away from basketball. And we started it off saying, what do y'all want? Again, we want to talk about ball. It may not be, you know, ESPN A block for 40 minutes. Right. Where everybody can bring in all the societal things that come along with what's going on in the WNBA. And sure, we can talk about that to go to it. But what we want and what we've enjoyed is just the basketball. But I don't think the respect that people find in Caitlin Clark playing basketball, I do not think that type of respect is transferring for the respect of the other players in the league playing basketball, because now it looks like they are in opposition to her. And it's like, that's not what this is. This is sport. You got to compete. And we can't lose sight of that in terms of ensuring that she's a success. Let her be. She's good enough to do it. This ain't and she's not a wallflower. Like, Caitlyn talks. Like, like, she ain't no, oh, okay, you found, no. She be out there cussing them girls out too. Like,
right.
She can give it as much as anybody else. And she for sure has a shooting ability to do it. But let her build her game to ultimately be the player and the expectation that you want her to be. But then also give respect to the league and teams and players who've spent so much time being the professionals they are, of all competing to be their best as well. Yeah. Like, that's how we grow it. It's not going to be just, we got to let her succeed. We got to put her on the Olympic team. This is how you get eyeballs in. This is where the conversation is.
It's the world stage. You don't have to market it.
Yeah.
You don't. Right. Like, the Olympics is the Olympics regardless of who's there.
For sure.
If you're going to watch regardless. And it's just, I think it comes down to, like, that's all it comes down to.
Yeah. We just want people to appreciate the competition.
Yeah.
And just respect the players.
Yeah. Even respect her teammates too. If we're going to be honest
and
too.
And respect Caitlyn Clark.
Yeah.
Like we said, let her write her story.
Yeah. Give her time. Give her some grace. I think it'll do better if you just give her a little grace. Take that pressure off of her. Mm-hmm. Like, do you know the pressure that's being put on her with the narrative that everybody's creating around it? Right. Like, imagine that coming into a league already. Everybody's just I got this huge target on my back already, because you do have to guard me different. You do have to respect my shot. Right. But then on top of that, if I don't produce or this happens, oh, she's this. Relax. Let's just pump the brakes. Right. Let's just take a breath.
Right.
Let her grow.
Right. We want to hear from you in the comments. Like, truthfully, what do you want basketball? Yeah. Like, we want to know, because maybe we're missing it because we're bit homers and we've been here a long time, and you know what I mean? Our focus necessarily isn't continually the growth. For me, the WNBA is going to be around. Like, I don't expect it to go anywhere anytime soon. I don't even expect it to reach the levels that the NBA is, and I don't think that should be their ultimate goal. I think the trajectory that they're on was a good one, but not forsaking competition to ensure it. So let us know, what do you want? I don't know if you're a new fan, an old fan, it doesn't matter. But for this season, what would you like to see? If you want to see Caitlyn go off for 40 points, it's gonna happen.
Give it time.
Just give it time.
Yeah, them defensive legs gonna get tired at some point.
They gonna get tired.
Let them come back from Olympic break. They gonna get tired.
They gonna be tired, and she gonna be shooting. The 3-point contest is coming up during the All-Star game. So listen, if you want to see her show out, we'll highlight the All-Star game, give you the dates. She's gonna be in that 3-point against Sabrina Ionescu. Like,
oh, that's gonna be exciting.
Like, let the story go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Kayla McBride is probably going to be in it. I would put Nafrisa in it too. She's almost shooting 40% from 3. Like, Arike's going to be in it. It's going to be a monster. And so if you can watch that competition in a 3-point contest, like, let's not turn actual basketball on the floor to exhibition. Like, let her compete. But please, again, I know I reiterated it like 3 times already, but let us know what y'all want with this women's basketball thing. What do you want to see? Because we want to know. I don't care how spicy it gets. If y'all go in on us a little bit, I can take it. But I do know what you want. But we are over the narratives and the conversations that's surrounding it, because I don't think that is good for the growth for the W, nor any player involved in the league. Yeah. But thank you guys for joining us. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Girls Only Sports. We are officially on TikTok.
Yeah.
Officially follow us on Twitter, on X. Yeah. Oh, no. No.
Soon.
our YouTube channel as well, our shorts, comment, do all that good stuff. Please continue to check us out. We have some good content coming up to you. As always, this is Girls Only Sports. I'm Candace Allen with Kay Williams. We will see you next time.